Hey there folks, welcome to this video, and on Monday we were greeted with the presence of the third team to enter in the WRC this season, unveiling their challenger. That is Hyundai Shell Mobis World Rally Team. And in this video I'm going to be talking briefly about that. The livery that hasn't changed much like Toyota Gazoo Racing. But at the same time I'm going to be talking about the reveal that they have and some slight differences we could see between this challenger and the one they presented at the beginning of 2019. So I'm briefly going to be going over some of the changes that I noticed, and also talking about just some general little bits about the car. So let's start off by having a look at the front end. And we have to remember, as we look at the livery, that the livery colours are actually still relatively the same palette. A lot of the differences in the colours between the two are due to the photography style. One thing that I noticed straight away is on the front bumper itself, you can actually see rivets between the two Michelin stickers. And then there are now two elements on the front bumper which stick out like little winglets, instead of just the one that was in the 2019 Challenger. Looking further down the car, we can see the wing mirrors seem to be slightly changed in position and stretch out a bit more than on the 2019 Challenger. We can see that the airbox at the top is wider, potentially even sitting lower, and potentially being smaller in terms of height than the 2019 one. And some slight differences to the rear wing. By the looks of things, it could be height, but it also looks like the elements have changed a little bit as well. And of course, we see a change in sponsorship as Hyundai systems is more prevalent. There was over the course of the 2019 season. Well, now let's move on to the front corner view, and we can see that the wheel rims have changed around. Whereas in 2019, the red was at the front and the bluish black was at the back. It's now different for this season, probably more in line with what colour is on which fender. And again, you can see this second element down at the front of the car. We can see that, yes, indeed, the airbox at the top seems to sit a lot lower, potentially even a bit narrower, though of course that might change over the course of the season depending on events. We can also see that the grille is slightly changed in size. It looks like it's slightly narrower in width and potentially slightly taller in height. A slight difference as well around the bonnet and the placement of the badge. So it looks like it sits a lot higher, and the badge itself can be considered potentially a bit smaller. But then again, we also see the change in the wing mirrors, and looking further down the car, you can see the actual air vent on the side above the rear wheels being prevalent, though that was actually on the car last season. It's not on the model that was pitched in the press releases for the 2019 season. It looks like the front vents on the bonnet have also changed a little bit, and then again, look at the rear wing. It looks like the element joining the main part of the wing to the back of the car, it sits a lot lower, and it looks like some of the gradients are less accentuated than they were on the 2019 Challenger. If we compare a side-by-side view, it even looks like the rear wing might be slightly smaller, though at the same time it looks like the adjoining element actually is again a bit more pronounced in some places, though the actual rear wing itself is a bit less pronounced. The rear aero in terms of around the fenders looks a bit blockier, and again you can see some slight differences in how the wing mirrors are designed. You can see the second element at the front end being a bit more pronounced, and the change to the scoop is a bit noticeable here. And then we get to the back of the car, and again you can see that it seems some of the curvature on the main element of the rear wing is a bit less accentuated. It looks like the rear wing is a bit shorter in terms of its length, potentially about the same in terms of its height and width though. We can see the slight differences in how the vents are at the back of the rear fender, And also the splitter appears to have changed. On the 2019 Challenger, it's a lot flatter. You get more 90-degree angles. On the 2020 Challenger, the edges of it are curved, and there appear to be different shaped elements. They appear to all be almost equidistant. And the exhaust is central, which isn't on the 2019 Challenger. Though again, these were largely changes that were brought in over the course of the 2019 season. So for example, when I saw it in GB, I remember the exhaust not being like in one of the back corners of the car. But those are the main things I'm going to talk about with the brand new Challenger that Hyundai have unveiled. It's not particularly much, a lot like the Toyota. There aren't so many developments visually over the off-season, though there are a couple. And one of the things that Hyundai were boasting was the new aero at the front and at the back. Though they might have some slight performance differences they weren't talking about. In comparison, Toyota would talk about their improved engine because, of course, we know about their reliability issues they were having last season. And I'm not too sure what's going to happen with Hyundai this season. Will they do the double? They seem quite confident they can, especially with the reigning champion in Oit Tanak, the runner-up all the way through this current era in Thierry Neuville, and the car that won the manufacturer's title last season, as well with Danny Sordo and Sebastian Loeb playing support. I'm certainly going to be fascinated to see how this turns out, and I hope you will too. And I'm glad that we can talk about some differences in the car other than just slight changes to livery. Again, a lot like the Toyota. So I think M-Sport will probably win in terms of livery design this season, just because even though Hyundai's one is still a reminiscent of the profound change that we had last season, it is the same one that we had last season. But I don't know who's going to be the fastest one, don't know who's going to be the most impressive one in terms of changes over the off-season. We'll have to wait till next week at Rally Monte Carlo to find that out. If you want to stick around to hear more updates from myself ahead of the first round of the 2020 World Rally Championship, make sure to hit the subscribe button. You can hit the bell notification to be notified of any future uploads and future streams. If you did enjoy this video, especially if you don't agree with me, because it shows how much about content delivery is important, make sure to hit the like button. If you did also disagree with me and you hit the like button, make sure to let your thoughts be known in the comments down below, and I might engage with you on the comments there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye for now.